Please, allow me to show you something.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Yarbrough Creates. This week we're doing a really special custom in honor of Martin Luther King, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's head on over to the studio and see what we're cooking. So after having the design mapped out on my computer, I wanted to create a mock version to put on the pants using printing paper. You might want to be careful using copy paper because it does tend to dull the blade whenever you're cutting paper, but I would prefer using wax paper. It's my own personal opinion and slight theory that wax paper doesn't dull the blade as quickly. Some other people would like to use different blades just for cutting paper. We don't, just simply because we don't have a different blade specific for cutting paper and vinyl. After putting the mock design on the pants, I realized that the spacing was kind of off and we were also missing a word. So decided to do the whole thing over again. I had one job, but that's okay. Luckily, it's just a mock and no harm done. Finishing up with version 2 of the mock design, I was weeding out the letters and decided to put tape over some of the letters to still hold on that true shape, like the A and the D, so I can clearly see what they're going to look like on the pants themselves. So far, I'm really happy with the design. Off camera, I tried them on, but I noticed that the way the pants stack, meaning the way the layers kind of fold over on the bottom, makes it hard to kind of understand some of the graphics. But I don't really want to compromise on the placement, so I went ahead and started cutting the vinyl anyway. Getting ready to weed out the vinyl, I had this feeling that I should save the negatives, and whenever I kind of get these feelings, it's normally, I feel like it's God's little nudge or wink trying to prevent me from doing something that's gonna like cause me a headache later on. So I went ahead and listened and decided to keep the negatives on a separate sheet. After finishing the weeding process, I went ahead and started to measure the stencils with transfer tape, making sure that I had the exact measurements. A lot of times there's a lot of waste whenever cutting out stencils and using transfer tape, and I'm trying my best to cut down on that as much as possible, and this really helps. So rather than removing the paper mock-ups completely, I went ahead and did it one by one, starting with the bottom. That way I have a really clear map of where to put down the stencils and making sure that it's going to line up exactly the way I envisioned it with the mock. Unlike shoes, the vinyl sticks to the denim really nicely. That's also due to the fact that it's a flat surface and the kind of material denim is. So that gives me a lot of confidence knowing that there's going to be very little to almost none bleed through when painting, as well as making sure that those lines are going to be nice and crisp. I used blue painter's tape to make sure that everything I want to stay black stays black. I'm using Angela's white leather paints as well as Too Soft. Too Soft is going to help make sure the material stays nice and soft and flexible. And I'm also using Too Thin so I can use my airbrush to get this nice, smooth, professional finish. I'm using multiple layers to make sure the paint is nice and white and it really pops. But I'm also using a heat gun to heat set the paint. What that does is it kind of dries the paint almost instantly, allowing very little paint to kind of bleed through the bottom of the denim. And I'm going to repeat this process over and over again until I get a nice crisp white, but making sure it's not too gaudy, because then it's going to offset the look that I'm trying to go for. Now that the paint's dried, I'm going to slowly and carefully remove the stencils with my weeding tools, being extra careful not to scratch the paint. This is my favorite part of any custom, mainly because you get to see like the finished product behind the vinyl, behind the tape, and also I'm still abusing the microphone. After seeing Dr. King's face, I realized it didn't look like anybody, and that I should have used the negatives instead of using the positives. Thankfully, listening to God's voice, I had those stencils still saved, and was able to use them, saving time by not having to do a whole new stencil. And I love the way this came out, especially with this nice, beautiful, kind of box kind of frame, this portrait, and it looks so clean and crisp. For this custom, I had a really big conviction in my heart about doing it, stepping out and making a custom about Dr. King, making sure that I did the best I could do, and really make sure it kind of honored his memory. Just because Dr. King is such an influential person throughout history, and it made a huge impact in not just this country but throughout the world. He's someone that I very rarely have seen that can look into the eyes of their enemies and want nothing but to see, their family and their generations after to have peace and have joy and experience love together as a community. You know, when you're looking at his speech that he gave, there's so many moments there he could have taken to, you know, push down and call out people who are doing such awful and truly awful and truly terrible things. Instead of that, he takes the time to share his vision, his dream for the future, that everyone and anybody will be able to look at a person as an individual first. You know, we'll be able to join hands and sing and, in his words, sit at the table of brotherhood and truly be as one. And I know that last one wasn't Dr. King. I know that was definitely, you know, the Beatles. But I think you would almost be ignorant to think that Dr. King's words and Dr. King's life doesn't seep over and inspire anyone and everyone around him. That's why there were so many figures of his time during that time that were just truly just pulled by him. And this is just one man, one preacher, taking a stand for what he believed is right and doing it in a way that was honorable and still had integrity and still, you know, put forward the message of love. Like the side quote that says, "Hate cannot drive out hate." The last part of that quote ends in, "Only love can." And that was Dr. King's core belief system. And he believed that once that dream truly came and comes into fruition, that all men truly will be and are created equal because they'll all have an equal right, equal opportunity, equal respect and viewpoint. And that was one of the speeches that like radically impacted me growing up. You know, it made Dr. King a huge hero in my eyes, and still to this day, I think a huge hero in anybody and everybody around the world. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a like down below. Also, if you can comment your favorite moment of Dr. King's life and your favorite moment of this video, would really appreciate it. It does help this channel, and I do really want to know your personal impact behind Dr. King. As well as to never miss a custom, hit the notification bell, as well as the subscribe button. We're out of here. See you guys in the next one. Deuces. I use blue tape. Oh. Blue tape. I used the blue tape to make sure everything I want to stay black stays black.